Antlers, directed by Scott Cooper, who, like I said, hasn't directed a horror film before this one, which I think is interesting. Surprising too, because I don't think the movie is bad by any means, but I think the movie, unfortunately, is a bit too straightforward and formulaic. And looking at this trailer, I just looked at the final trailer for Antlers, and like I said, I usually try to avoid them because they give away too much, and this one definitely gave away too much. Not only that, I feel like the trailer also sold the movie better than the actual movie does. That doesn't make sense. It made the movie look way more interesting than it actually is. The good with Antlers, the acting. I thought all of the central players were really good. I thought Kerry Russell, which I could not remember for the life of me where she was from until my girlfriend reminded me she's from Felicity, or I overheard somebody was like, oh, it's a girl from Felicity. I was like, oh shit, yeah, I know Kerry Russell. I know the name. And the face I know, I just, didn't remember. The kid here, this kid actor, I thought he was really good too. The only other thing I remember him from, because I had to look it up, it was from the Righteous Gemstones, the HBO comedy series. He played like the son of one of the characters. And it's a really funny scene, but he was good. Jesse Plemons, of course, who you know from like Breaking Bad, Fargo TV show. He was great in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Awesome actors. Like the acting was all good. And it's a super well-made movie in terms of like the filmmaking and how it was put together. Certain scenes, it built tension well. Like all that was fine. It felt like it's a perfectly well-made horror movie, but where it lacks for me, too formulaic. It kind of plays its cards early on, and I was watching it and I was like, if this goes the way I think it's gonna go, quite disappointing. And it kind of did. And I can't go into specifics, so there's not a spoiler review. And I do agree that this trailer that is showing right now gives away way too much. And there's certain scenes that I'm like, even not having watched the trailer and forgetting everything about it, knowing that it had to do with like this tree Wendigo creature and stuff like that, and who was in it, it just felt like the trailer sold it as more. I think it brings up ideas too that it doesn't really go that far into, and doesn't take it in interesting aspects. It goes into like certain family drama and like histories of abuse and things like that, and I'm like, oh, all this is like interesting, but it's not really doing enough. It's not really taking it to the degree, makes the plot and the characters like intrinsically more interesting in their dynamics. The movie just kind of went to A to Z, and it was like, it got me sometimes. It got me with some jump scares, mostly because of, the audio was so loud. I don't know, there's really cool creature designs in it. There's effective scenes, the makeup is cool, it's shot well. The movie's just like fine to me. And it's unfortunately the way like it was marketed. It was just marketed better than what the movie is. And I don't want to sound too rough on it, but yeah, they marketed with like Guillermo del Toro's name up front, which is fine. But if you look into it, you obviously know he's not directing it. It just has all these cool ideas and these cool conceits and like a cool creature design. It never gets like interesting enough or like weird enough for my taste. There's definitely some gore and some violence, but all where you like, I kind of saw that coming. And like the climax was kind of like underwhelming, because you're like, all right, this plays out exactly how I think it would play out. And then like the final scene is also like a thing where it's like, okay, it felt like somebody was following the steps of how to make a horror movie, but not really deviating too crazy. Like you get this cool idea, you get this cool creature, but you kind of keep it from like A, B, and C, and D, and you kind of hit all the mark. And could be a good or bad thing, but unfortunately for this one, I think it's a bad thing because it doesn't take the ideas far enough. I think this is a movie that if it was on like Netflix or something streaming, it's worth tossing on like that. Just a weird predicament because like I said, I think the movie looks good. There's good makeup, there's good design, the creature design, the actors, like all of it is well put together. It just never goes far enough, and it doesn't take it any more interesting. It has like the original conceit, and it just keeps it there. And like I said, the acting is good. It's just, the characters and the dynamic within it doesn't go that far. Like a movie I would recommend besides like Antlers that kind of deals with some similar issues and like some designs. I don't want to go too much because I don't want to spoil it, but would be The Ritual, that's on Netflix, which is a really good horror movie. Like every time I return to that one, I'm just surprised how good it is, because I went into it like not knowing anything. With David Bruckner as the director, coincidentally, he's gonna direct the new Hellraiser, which I'm excited for. He did a recent movie called The Night House, thought was really good too. So I just think him as a filmmaker is really interesting. Not to make this about him, still on Antlers, but it's not, like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's just not a great one, and it kind of keeps it to a level where it doesn't really get. I wanted a little bit more juice. I wanted a little bit more weirdness. You have this cool creature, you have this cool conceit, and you have potential there, but it never really takes it past that. And I don't know if it's something like it was the director's first horror film and he was, getting his legs. He didn't want to get too crazy with it. And I haven't seen any of his other films, so I don't know how they are or like his style and how it is. But yeah, it just kind of felt too basic for me. I wanted more craziness. So would I recommend Antlers? Yes and no. Yes, if it's like on streaming and you want a pretty good horror movie to put on, I'm like, sure, toss it on. But I would wait. I don't know. That's my thoughts. So Antlers, directed by Scott Cooper. If I had to give it like a rating out of 10, like a 1 out of 10, I'd give it like about a 7. Like, pretty good, but not that good. Could be more interesting. Could be more. But yeah, that was Antlers. That was Antlers.